Am I audible? Am I audible? Oh, thank you. You just wave at 5. Wave at 5. Okay. Madam Speaker, we think that had Chanakya been alive, he would have propagated that everything is fair in love, war and politics. Something that we are absolutely opposed of, right? Understand what is the fetishization of Chanakya Niti, but we first understand what is Chanakya Niti, right? Chanakya Niti asks you to prioritize state interests, asks you to prioritize security. What this means is that you need to prioritize the idea of concentration of power. You need to appreciate the idea of stability in the norm, because any deviation from the norm challenges the very fundamentals of those security, which means at every point of time that you need to discredit certain aspects that might be accruing in terms of the needs of the people as society evolves, which means that any deviation or any sort of understanding, say like gay people not being accepted throughout the church because that was a deviation from the norm, never being understood because that fundamentally challenges the existence of your nation state, that fundamentally challenges the idea of existence of your state, that challenges stability. It is about winning at all costs. It's about prioritizing and going ahead and saying that means doesn't matter as long as you get to sit on the throne, nothing else matters, power comes forth. We think that's the malaise that we need to remove from society. Understand how Indian realpolitik works, right? We think that in Indian realpolitik, what has happened is that underhanded techniques has become the norm, right? Which means that whether it's about like funding, even having anti-defection laws and going ahead and funding everything, going ahead and moving away from your ideologies and going ahead and creating a setup where you need to go ahead and say and fighting it on the basis of power and at all costs coming at the power. We think what this does is creates that king first, kingdom second and everything else after that. It's all about the state. It's all about the pride of your state. It's all about the sanctity of the state, right? We think this fundamentally challenges the very ethos of a federal democratic republic, right? What do I mean by this? We think it's against the federal republic scenario, because in this, all you care about is what majority wants, which is why the Indian government can run away by abrogating Article 70 without having any discussion, because the majority of the people who even haven't been to Kashmir are happy because their rights have been taken away. You don't care about the minority perspective, you don't care about the technicalities, you don't care about civil rights, because the message is that now India has been united, even at the cost of people losing their houses, right? Number 3, right? We think that misappropriation of trust by political system is something that's highly problematic. Listen as to how these political parties are the ones who often lead to the creation of issues or often charges and fights in society for issues for you, right? We think what they often end up doing is creating issues where there exists none, and by solving them creates a perpetual cycle of coming back to the power, right? What do I mean by this? I mean that going ahead and saying that Bhagat Singh hasn't been respected, that's why we need to create a statue of Bhagat Singh. Now the respect has come, the sanctity of India has come. Even though Bhagat Singh might have been against the concept of statue, even though he has received the due recognition, the idea then becomes this, that you always go ahead and start creating issues as opposed to focusing on the issues within the country. And why this is important? Understand the caveat, we understand national security first during the time of conflicts, right? But we are talking about within the democratic structure of India. We are talking about stable times. We are talking about when there exists no war. We are talking about the accountability that needs to exist. And this is something that brings me to my next point, right? We think that nation before everything else eliminates the only bulwark in democracy, that is accountability. Because now you are able to go ahead and run away from anything that you can run away with anything, right? Because what this does is make threat the norm, and increased threat becomes the part of a silver bullet that people can run away with. Which means that in Assam now you can go ahead and say these people are immigrants and they need to be kicked out, and that they are the ones who are challenging the idea of Hinduism, or they are the ones challenging the very idea of India. Even though stats never support this, right? Bangladesh having better socio-economic indicators, which means that migrants aren't willing to move in from there. Also going ahead and understanding the idea that migration is something that's very complex, even going ahead and uprooting the idea. But you don't care about any real consideration because the idea of India comes first, and because you have established a fear among the masses that you are under threat, you are able to get away with it. We think that's something that's reprehensible. But also on a macro level, right? We think on a macro level, what this does changes your domestic policies to an always at a state of war, right? Which means highly investing in war warfare, highly investing in army, as opposed to something that can change the lives of the people, as opposed to healthcare, reducing your spending of GDP in healthcare. We think the examples of this is Pakistan and USSR, who are suffering and are crippled by military-industrial complex because they invested so much throughout 1950s and 70s in military and the idea of USSR and the idea of nation state, that now people are facing the worst recessions that they have faced in their history. We think what does this create is cripple the structure within the macro level and the policies to only about military, which means that you never invest in the issues that people want, right? But what this just brings to, I think that Chanakya Niti's fetishizations and power is something that's fundamentally flawed, right? Because it is intertwined with the idea, as I talked to you about king first. But what does this do? We think this rules the power structure within existing in the state and makes it more autocratic, makes concentration of power and funneling of power an acceptable norm. What do I mean this? We think that this reduces regions' ability to take on decisions, which means that center is at better place to go ahead and make decisions for yourself, which means that you challenge the very idea of regionalism that exists. It deteriorates the federal structure, we think, which forms the basis of any diverse democracy that exists. But thirdly, right, it goes ahead and creates that political party above anything else, which means Amit Shah always is going to say that above India, BJP what wants is the idea of India. That what BJP wants and the BJP issues are equivalent to the idea of India. We think the government, before that, anything from closing?
Tell me, why do you think that creating these false narratives, if they support state sovereignty as a concept and like let people be happy in the long run, why do you not think that's better for people?
Understand this, right? People aren't happy. People are unhappy that they don't have jobs. People aren't happy that the economy is facing its worst recession. But they can't speak out, right? Because the moment they speak out, they're said that nation may first, tumhare jawan cardinal pillar hai. What this does, takes away your ability to go ahead and accentuate dissent within the structure, which means that the idea is that you're happy, which means that state now, and who tells you that people are happy, right? State statistics, right? Which is already manipulated because people aren't talking about it, because if they talk about it, they are anti-national, they are against the state, which means they can at never point come and claim that people are happy. But what is the biggest problem in terms that I was talking about? We think it goes ahead and makes political parties and it makes government state. It goes ahead and reduces the ability of other aspects or other organs of the democracy to function, whether it's police, whether it's all your investigative agency and executive, which was supposed to be independent, are being caged by it, or the idea of judiciary or not providing judiciary with sufficient judges, so take away their autonomy. At the end of the day, panel, Chanakya was something that existed among kings, existed in a feudal structure where there was no limits, no boundary. We live in a democracy. We uphold Chanakya.
Understand that the beauty of Chanakya Niti is that it's not designed for, it's not designed to be a way of a structure of governance. What it is designed to is defeat your enemies, right? And if you look at India's electoral political system at the moment, you see it's working beautifully, right? And why is it working beautifully, right? Because the first reaction or the sustained reaction that you get to this Chanakya Niti is essentially what you get from Shoaib's speech, right? What you get from Shoaib's speech are things like, look, people are actually unsatisfied, people are actually poor, people are actually sad, yet you see in electoral results, BJP sweeping the polls, right? Why is that, right? We come and tell you that they have completely ignored the fact that the realpolitik, the way it is structured, how Chanakya Niti is structured, is with a very beautiful relationship to reality in status quo, right? You have to understand that the fact when you say like it is the king, it is the kingdom, and then it is everything else, gives an extremely important incentive to political parties to keep winning elections, right? We come and tell you that in the long run, right, no matter how hard you try to fool people, people will catch on, right? So we come and tell you that even though if like Chanakya Niti mandates that you to muddle things up in the short term while you're working on a better plan for the long term, we come and tell you that is a good thing, right? Another issue that we have from their thing, right? They come and they give you as harms things like concentration of power, like it's difficult to deviate from the norm, so on and so forth. We come and tell you that to the three benefits that we'll offer and we'll explain as to how they come about, we come and tell you that is not really true, right? So what are the three broad thematic benefits that we offer to you today, right? Firstly, Chanakya Niti or realpolitik and its fetishization they address pressing political needs, right? Understand in 2014 when the Modi government won the election, they won the election from a country where people were unhappy with policy paralysis. We felt that we were too soft on Pakistan. We felt that we did not stand up in the UN and we were not counted. So in that particular scenario, we chose a political party that was immediately catering to the immediate needs of the Indian people as they were felt, right? Secondly, we come and we tell you that the reason that the BJP is able to win elections and the right wing in India is able to do so well is how beautifully they are organized as an organizational structure, right? Which is something that the other side of the aisle should learn about but doesn't. And why do they not learn about this? Because the immediate reaction to something like Chanakya is that of disgust, right? They don't even think deeper about how that political structure works. They dismiss it prima facie because it goes against some imaginary ethical standard that these supposed liberal parties have created for themselves, right? For that purpose alone, right? When you leave this amazing way of winning elections which gives you the key to power and the keys to the car that is the country, we come and we tell you that there is a sort of political immaturity that exists on the left side of the aisle in the Indian political system today, right? We believe that this kind of situation, while unappealing to you and I at a personal level, is working wonders for the country at large, right? Because a majority of Indians support the kind of views that the BJP is propagating. The fact that you don't see any protest for Kashmiris in India is a byproduct of the fact that Indians don't consider Kashmiris to be Kashmiris, Kashmiris don't consider Kashmiris to be Indians. In that point, realpolitik understands we are never going to win these guys over. We are never going to win their hearts, right? So when what it comes to then is state, right? State strategic interests have to be presented and have to be protected at all costs, right? I challenge you to give me a framework that preserves Kashmir better than status quo as what is happening, right? We come and we tell you it is impossible for Indians after what has happened to Burhan, Uri, Pathankot, so on and so forth, to win the hearts of Kashmiris, right? In that point of time, it becomes important for India to seal its borders and protect its own state's integrity. I'll take you in the fifth, right? When we establish that, we come and we tell you that realpolitik in Chanakya is a more evolved and mature version of doing politics, right? It understands there are realities. It does not like pretend to like have the facade of any sort of trying to say is like later down the line maybe the Muslims are in India are the enemy, maybe the Kashmiris are the enemies, right? Very simply put, the enemies for anyone in the like Chanakya system is somebody who's trying to challenge status quo, right? We come and we tell you that is not bad in and of itself as long as these so-called enemies that you are going to be presenting as white knights figure out a way to beat the system, right? We come and we tell you the left in India now has an extremely positive incentive to reinvent itself because they are faced with extinction, right? We can't tell you this fetishization of Chanakya is a red flag in the face of the left, no pun intended, that they need to reinvent themselves and they need to come up with a system that can challenge this Chanakya at a practical and at a principle level, right? Failing which we believe that the liberals in India are constantly ceding ground, right? Because we believe that the right wing in India, because they understand that the pressing needs of the reality of India is more important, is able to better organize its volunteers, better able to organize its leadership and hence able to get better results, right? But what about the geopolitical and international relation aspect of this motion, right? Understand that through real politics, the people in the right in India are able to understand and sense no more viewers, and able to sense the fact that look, it is time for India to stand up and be counted, right? Look at India's immediate neighbors, right? We're not exactly on the best terms with either Pakistan or China, right? Look at Israel, for example, right? Israel is also surrounded on all sides by its enemies, right? When India understands that it is in an unenviable position of getting no help from like Western powers when it comes to like these regional conflicts, and it takes cost to preserve India's interests first and everyone else, we come and we tell you that people in India are happy to respond to that, and we come and we tell you there's no harm in that so long as like the only tangible harm that comes from that is then that you have to come here and prove, right? The third thing, like we come and we say that there is more robust political discourse that is a direct offshoot of Chanakya Niti if the other side of the aisle chooses to like respond to this challenge, right? We come and we tell you it spectacularly like burst in Rahul Gandhi's face when he tried to like take the model up again and say, hey look, I love everybody, I love Modi, here's a hug for you and so on and so forth, because that sort of politics is dead, and it is the liberal left in India which has to realize that and come up with their own version of real politics, right? We come and we tell you for these reasons, for the re-energization of political discourse, for the maturity of political parties in India, for the state's immediate interest to be preserved first, for its people to be happy in the short term rather than selling them an idea of long-term happiness, we believe that the fetishization is well celebrated and for good reason.
Guys, please be mindful of the mic, right? He's standing right behind. As soon as your PO is accepted, he'll hand you over the mic. Okay, please look at me. Thank you.
Opening opposition claims in the debate that if people catch on to the fuck-ups that governments do, Chanakya Niti is fine. If you can do a better job in terms of bolstering security, Chanakya Niti is fine. We think that the two things that need to be clarified in my speech is that we're not talking about Chanakya Niti as an effective strategy. We're talking about fetishization of Chanakya Niti, going one step further and implying it or imposing it in places where it's not required. That is the kind of scenario that we're talking about. Opening opposition or any closing opposition for that instance then has the burden to tell you why fetishization of Chanakya Niti is good. That is a specific burden in this debate. But secondly, we don't think that Indian people are happy with the kind of Chanakya Niti that is played out. They're sheep. That is what Chanakya wants you to do. We think that at all points of time, Chanakya Niti says that okay, as long as you keep people happy on a superficial level by treating them as sheep, you're fine. My rebuttal would be there. The first thing is that Chanakya Niti is based on beating enemies. Exactly. That means that you would be otherizing other communities in order to do this. That means that at all points of time, you would be looking at immigrants as something who are enemies of the state. You will be looking at Pakistan, who's not your neighbor, but necessarily you would be looking at someone who's your enemy and would be your enemy at all points of time, even if it's unnecessary in the first place. Necessary because this is an effective way of capitalizing. We don't think that opening government's burden then in this debate becomes about telling you that this is the most effective strategy. We don't have to defend that burden for you. We concede to the fact that Chanakya Niti might be effective in the status quo, might be the most effective way of gaining votes in the status quo. But we also think that is the most unethical way of doing so, and that is exactly why we oppose Chanakya Niti. Because Chanakya Niti plays on the worst elements of politics and gains on it. We think that is what is missing in this debate here. The second thing that they talk about is how it's an effective political tool. Shreya's already told us how you misprioritize issues the point at which Chanakya Niti is imposed, which means that everything would be compared to national security. Everything that you do would be compared to economic aspirations which the government is imposing. There's a parallel claim of issues which the government is incentivized to put, necessarily because there's a concentration as to who comes first. The state comes first and its interest comes first, and therefore even if your interests are parallel to it, which is not in conflict, you should still be prioritizing that over this. That is a claim that states are able to put because of Chanakya Niti. Don't let them get away with that kind of characterization. The next thing that they tell you is that you will never be a republic, so you shouldn't try to be a republic either. Therefore, if you can't cater to Kashmiri states, you shouldn't try to do that either. No, we think that that's untrue. Atal Bihari Vajpayee came really close to integrating Kashmir in terms of an understanding, right? Which means that at all points of time, political discourse is something which is an option available to us. But even in our worst case, we think that the maximization of rights which is available for a minority community exists the point at which you don't implement majoritarian techniques. This is simply because of the normal common sense that the point at which you don't attack people by saying that okay, our differences are non-reconcilable, you would be attacking them less in a scenario rather than attacking them more. Opening opposition then is out of this debate permanently. Two arguments that I'm going to bring then. Firstly, how Chanakya Niti destroys the bulwark of democracy. That means that it employs radical utilitarianism in order to gain its needs. And secondly, in terms of accountability, and secondly, in terms of espousing republican values. Before I move on with my arguments, this closing have any viewers. Closing did not engage with us. Moving forward, we think that in terms of accountability, you override a judiciary's independence, which means that at all points of time, a state would prioritize to retain its power rather than to maintain the ethics of Indian polity, which means that at all points of time, you would intervene inside the independent institution of the judiciary in order to effectuate rights for your own state. It also means that you use the media in order to keep the people as scapegoats, necessarily because you can tell them, oh, patriotism is something that BJP is protecting at all costs. We don't think that this is something exclusive to the BJP though. So their whole argument about the left being left out in Chanakya Niti is untrue. Indira Gandhi also employed Chanakya Niti, the point at which she prioritized state first, imposed an emergency and said all minorities should just fuck off. We think that then changing legislation in order to suit the state's interest is also something which comes from Chanakya Niti. Why is it bad? It's bad because you don't espouse Republican values and you fail in the attempt of espousing Republican values. Before I move on with my final submission, opening.
Yeah, tell me the last time ethics won an election.
The last time ethics won in an election was the point at which Chanakya Niti did not exist in the status quo. Chanakya Niti always existed in the status quo. We haven't had that option yet. We think that it's a much better world where Chanakya Niti is not fetishized to the extent of being implemented always over ethics. We think that's the problem with the current status quo. It's fetishized and it's wrong. Opening opposition's last attempt failed. We think that in terms of espousing Republican values there. Political parties first, people later is the agenda of all political parties, which means that you use unethical methods of gaining funds and it is legitimized by the state necessarily because it gives you political representation, which is a legitimate thing. It's fine if you use vote bank politics in order to cater votes as long as it gets you the ends that you see. Chanakya Niti then tells you that all means are legitimate the point at which you reach the end. It takes away the ethics, the moral fabric from political institutions and from Indian democracy. We think that it increases the regionalism which exists within politics, which means that at all points of time, it becomes a pull-down politics. BJP says that Congress is bad, Congress says BJP is bad without having a constructive development of thoughts. The point at which anyone attempts to constructively develop, they also pull down saying that, okay, you suffered from X, Y, Z fallacies, that's bad. But lastly, we think it's a majority force, even if it comes at the cost of tribals, even if it comes at the cost of Kashmiris, which means that at all points of time, without rationalization of claims, you go ahead and prioritize a majority rather than prioritizing the forest which could be saved, the point at which a watershed could be built elsewhere, Adani could be given land elsewhere. You don't rationalize claims. You directly tell them that your claims are secondary to the claims of majority. That is a problem with Chanakya Niti and its fetishization. At this point of time, opposition has to come and tell them that even if it's the most effective way of gaining votes, even if it is the most effective way of coming and translating change, why is fetishization of Chanakya Niti good? We've already given you instances that would override moral ethics and the kind of integrity political structures have, the point at which we fetishize Chanakya Niti with private members.
Audience, please, one short announcement. We kindly request you to be a little quiet, keep your appreciation to a down minimum. It's not just distracting to the speakers, but it's distracting our adjudicators. So we really request you to keep your appreciation as well as your reactions to an audible minimum.
This is the same speech we've been hearing for the left for quite a long time, and that's the reason they haven't been winning any elections, right? When they come and give us all these utopic arguments, when they come and point out these obvious flaws with the BJP in today's dynamic in the Indian political system, we agree, obviously the BJP is not, however, they still continue to win debates, they still continue to win elections the way they are being, right? Let's talk about Chanakya Niti, right? We do not believe this federalization of Chanakya Niti has been a age-old or something that's always been inherently involved in the Indian political system, right? We believe this federalization is a rather newer concept, right? It came out in 2014, right? When Azhar comes and talks to you about the importance of 2014 and how the Indian political system changed, right? What did the BJP come and do, right? The BJP won 2014 because A, they heard what the mandate wanted. B, they could effect that change in their policies and tell the mandate that yes, we are listening to you, these are your grievances and we are here to listen to them, right? And third and the most important thing, it distinguishes them from the left, and that is why the fetishization of Chanakya Niti has helped them, right? What has the fetishization of Chanakya brought to BJP? An unprecedented amount of organizational power and structure, right? The reason BJP wins 350 seats in 2019 elections, right? Despite the fact that they did objectively perform poorer than 2014, the fact that they could win 350 seats is because of the organizational power in the grassroots that they have, right? When media houses try to portray that people are not happy but such a mandate when comes about, we do not believe that the BJP has been manufacturing these votes, right? We do believe the BJP has actually been listening to people on the grassroots. BJP has been approaching their mandate in a very organized manner, right? And this has only come about because of the fetishization of Chanakya. Let's come to this conclusion, right? The BJP is not doing all of this on their own free will, right? It's not just that the BJP has these right-leaning policies, it's just that the BJP is imposing these policies on these countries, right? The only thing BJP is doing right now, and in the most effective manner, is listening to the mandate. Today's debate is not about whether what the mandate is pushing for is the right way forward or the wrong way forward, right? It's about the Indian political system. And what is politics about, ladies and gentlemen? Politics is inherently about winnability, right? Who is a better electable candidate? Who is going to win elections better? And let's understand, people are not fools. The BJP, if it wants to continue winning the way it has to fix the economy because of this very Chanakya Niti, right? What does Chanakya Niti come and tell you about the organizational power, right? People are not going to be fooled. The state's interest can only be put above people's interest when people are satisfied. And we need to keep them satisfied by satisfying the economic. Yeah, very good.
Politics may be unethical, but how do you justify this absence of ethics streaming down to
governance?
governance?
I got your question, right? So when Ajay asked this very important question, right? When has, in his POI, when has ethics ever won you an election? I'll come and explain that further, right? We agree unethical methods should not prevail in politics. However, at a point in time where it's either ethics versus getting a chance to affect policy, we believe that you need to make that trade-off. We believe at that point of time it's okay to forgo off your ethical needs because of the fact that you need to get into policy making. Now let's flip this entire side of the debate. We believe that the Congress loses out not because it's a bad party or because of its previous historical baggage that it's carrying. That is one of the reasons. But why has the left, why has the left in general failed in India, right? Because they failed to have that organizational efficacy, they failed to have the organizational efficiency with the BJP has operated, right? Congress's entire game plan for 2019 was stay shut till 2018, then bring out Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi into the campaign and then just harp on everything BJP was doing, right? What did it show to the general public? BJP is an altruistic party who is doing everything they can to fix the economy, to fix the country, to protect the sovereignty of this country at the end of the day, by also being a nice democratic party, and all the Congress is doing is trying to drag them down, trying to pull them beneath, because Congress did not have a clear strategic platform, right? Fine, they had the election, I'm not taking mandate and everything, right? But did they have any organizational direction? And we believe if the left were to adopt this, if liberals in India were to adopt the kind of policy that the BJP has adopted, they would be answering to the mandate, they would be able to preserve their ethics. But I feel at the point in time in Indian politics, ethics is something you need to trade off when it comes to policy making, and we believe that point of ethics does not stand, right? What did Azan come in here and tell you about? Azan came and told you three important benefits. First, he told you need to adhere to pressing political needs, right? We believe it's a sort of mischaracterization that OJ has been running along with, right? When they come and tell us that BJP bad, people unhappy. Let's understand people are happy. You cannot win 350 seats the second time when things have been so seemingly bad if people are not happy, right? Let's understand people are not fools. And because of these very principles of organization and efficacy that do come about because of Chanakya Niti, the BJP will have to correct themselves, they will have to correct their economic policies, they will have to keep the economy afloat, because the only way that they can show that the state is superior is by making sure everybody under that state is happy, right? Majoritarian politics only works when the majority is happy, and that's what the BJP has been doing, right? The left has to collectivize, they have to capitalize on this ideology, and they need to collate resources to understand the moment they start listening to the mandate the way BJP does, there can be a more ethical discourse in politics, and they can be a much more ethical party. We believe BJP is a flawed party, and we believe despite all those harms that you point about, right, how are they still winning? It's because of the Chanakya Niti. The way you need to move forward with Indian political system is by glorifying the Chanakya Niti, is by telling the left that no, this is the only way forward and this is how you're going to win elections, right? We believe winnability is the only thing that matters in Indian political system, because ethics is something that has never really been cared for despite which side of the table you sit on, right? And we believe this is why we take this debate over, right? Second thing as I talked about is very important. geo and international relations politics, right? Let's understand, people were frustrated. The general mandate in India, despite what liberal society want to believe, was frustrated with the way Pakistan was behaving. We were frustrated with the amount of terrorist attacks that were happening in the country. We were frustrated with the fact that that India's position on all international security matters or any international matters was one of appeasement, right? That India kaam karega aapke liye, don't worry about it. When somebody like Modi comes about and makes bold statements with his airstrikes or whatever they have done, right? These are bold assertive statements. We don't know if they actually bring policy change, but they make assertive statements in society and in the global sphere that yes, India is a power that you have to reckon with. We will no longer be putting all our cards on the table, and this gives us a few more bargaining chips, right? The importance of that was highlighted by Azhar. And thirdly, over the course of 2 speeches, we have talked about how it creates a more robust political system, it creates better discourse, and the only way forward, if the left wants to win and you want to mitigate all the harms that BJP has done, is by adopting this method of Chanakya, and thus now we proud to oppose.
Important clarification comes from CG here. Understand that Chanakya Niti is not exclusive to the right or the left. Chanakya Niti is not exclusive to a government, right? Chanakya Niti is also not exclusive to just politics as it happens during election, right? Chanakya Niti is an all-encompassing, pervasive system where literally the problem is not that people are happy, people are sad. The problem is that the people are happy even with the way the BJP is functioning, right? Smart law graduates like Arjun and Nanda will not get jobs. This is the reality, right? The economic slowdown is real. People are dying on the fringes of the country and people are still happy. This is what Chanakya Niti looks like in modern day India, right? But before I move on to rebutting what has come from opening opposition, some context that I lay on to. Understand the inherent problem with giving primacy to one identity, right? And which is essentially what happens in Chanakya Niti. Chanakya Niti essentially says that your national identity is something that must take primacy over literally all your identities, right? And understand that there can be very many identities that an individual holds close to them. I may hold my identity as a woman, my religious identity, my socio-cultural identity, my geographical identity just as close to me, but what the state is telling me is that no, you are an Indian first and that is what should take over literally everything else, right? And we will discuss the consequences of this in my constructives, but also understand what the state in the Indian context looks like. And here is where you have to necessarily acknowledge the perils of the first past the post system, right? Understand the first past the post system is necessarily one which does not ensure that the majority or what the majority of the country wants is like exhibited as part of like governance policies, right? And it may necessarily just be like 33% of the country voting a political party into power and that political party exercising literally all powers and ensuring that a lot of people are just not granted rights. But OG characterizes to you as literally irresponsible governance, right? And we tell you that irresponsible governance can exist on either side of the house. Like presence or absence, I think in the fifth. Presence or absence of accountability measures is not what this debate is about. The fact is that people do not want to exercise these checks and measures of accountability. The fact is that people are happy. The fact is that people are incapable of questioning what the government is doing and how the government is doing it because of Chanakya Niti, right? And understand that the case that comes from OO is simply this, right? That ethics are not important in politics. What they do not realize that ethics are really, really important in governance, right? While you may be able to win an election on dirty politics and underhand betting and what literally everything else, when the lack of these ethics trickles down, I think in the fifth year understand. When this lack of ethics permeate into actual acts of governance affecting people like you and me is when it becomes a really, really big problem, right? And then they come and talk about the organizational nature of the BJP and that is why they're succeeding, right? And that's exactly what we're trying to say. They exist in the Chanakya Niti framework and which is why they're able to function so well. But before that, let's discuss incentive to political parties is simply to win elections, right? And in that paradigm, they try and justify literally all wrongs that political parties carry out just in order to win these elections, right? And look at the kinds of harms these can be, right? This can literally be like political murder, this can be like articulator, this can be like immense amounts of corruption, this can be engaging in like umpteen number of scams and literally like so many things that harm society as that. So what are we going to tell you as part of our constructive? We're going to talk to you about the value of empathy as an emotion and how Chanakya Niti literally rids society of empathy. Secondly, we will talk to you about whose interests come to the fore. Thirdly, we will talk to you in the context of social and economic rights, economic rights, what these interests look like. And lastly, we will talk to you about how evolution of society is hindered, right? But firstly, discussing empathy, right? Understand that if the idea is simply this, right? As an average individual, the fact that I cannot empathize with a Kashmiri is dangerous, right? The fact that I may not be able to empathize with somebody facing genocide in another country when my state is the state that is inflicting genocide is the problem with Chanakya Niti, right? Because you prioritize the interests of the state to the extent where that human element in decision making and like policy making is simply like absent, right? And that is the idea that is just accentuated with Chanakya Niti, right? Understand empathy is really, really important and has to do, like we have progressed from being a primitive state to an evolved state where we understand the value of like humanitarian considerations in policy making, right? And the fact that Chanakya Niti stems down to literally everybody in this room, where we will not bat an eyelid, where like Palestinians are literally dying every second as we deliver these speeches is what is wrong with Chanakya Niti, right? Because we have just learned to prioritize our state's interests to that level. And let us talk about economic interests, right? Understand that exploitative labor practices that Indian companies will engage in and in like say using labor say from Bangladesh, and the fact that we cannot feel for those people is what is wrong with Chanakya Niti. But on a more social level, understand this. The Indira Gandhi government, in the name of state's interests and population control, carried out mass sterilization. Nobody batted an eyelid. People who were victims of mass sterilization did not oppose it. Why was that? Because the ideas of the importance of state were so deeply entrenched in them that their own personal rights, things that affected them so intimately, something as intimate as my right to my bodily autonomy and my privacy was infringed, but I went ahead and did it because the state characterized it to me as something that is so important, right? And that is the problem with Chanakya Niti, not irresponsible governance for God's sake. And understand this, and the way that this has permeated the Indian structure is really, really vast, right? Our ideas of intelligence, the way our education system functions, the way we look down on tribal societies in the curriculum that we study as part of our courses is also really, really important, right? Look at legislative frameworks, look at evidence collection in India, how third-degree torture, or just the fact that illegally obtained evidence is admissible in the court of law is really, really problematic, right? But why does nobody revolt against this? It's simply because we have been told time and again since we were little children that our state's interests are more important than yours. And what does this do? It curbs down on dissent. Anybody who tries to deviate from what is pushed as propaganda in the state's interest being primary is labeled a deviant. This largely hinders the evolution of society, right? Dissent is the foundation of democracy, and in the absence of any kind of dissent, in the absence of people thinking that they are allowed to dissent, in the absence of people thinking that they are capable of dissent, there will never be any sort of evolution of society. And their argument now cannot be that evolution will come from academia like it did for 377, right? Like ideas of dissent and deviance have to come from the grassroots. And now the burden on side of CO is simply this, to prove to us how elements of human empathy, elements of humanitarian aspects in policy making are important, and how in the absence of like these being considered, like India as a country, the world at large will be able to progress at all.
We believe that real politics is something which is existing in the status quo in terms of how parties function, right? We believe when we allow it to fetishize, what happens? We use like things like slavery and stuff like that, right? And we tell you that that is the kind of convenience standard which is problematic, right? Because it translates literally into the kind of hypocrisy which exists, right? We tell you that what happens in terms of a state where we allow real politics to interest, right? We tell you that it results in a more efficient economy because you assimilate people and the state grows stronger, right? We tell you this monolithic identity which we're talking about right now does exist in the status quo, right? In terms of the advantages which exist, right? And when say a China goes ahead and permeates into a Hong Kong also, we tell you that the benefits which exist also translate down to these minority people, right? In terms of the interests which are there, and we believe this prioritization of interests gain the political mileage which exists, to gain the kind of position you exist. US is in the position which it is because of the fact that they won the Cold War, they utilize these kind of ideas, right? And that is why they are allowed to take these convenient standards today, right? And that is why we believe that realpolitik, prioritizing these interests which stands for the monolithic identity, prioritizing the interests which stands for what the state is, what the state is, what literally translates down to what India stands for, is something which is important, right? Secondly, we believe what is the alternative that they existed, right? We tell you in the alternative, people like Barack Obama pretend to be liberals, right? But they go ahead and do stuff like NSA and all, for which they never called out, right? We tell you that this hypocrisy is something which is real, very real in their possibility, right? We tell you that even in terms of international organization, third world countries are never allowed to function, right? Because of the fact, the kind of hegemonical position these first world countries enjoy, right? We tell you that this is why the manipulation of the political situation and kind of political interaction you have in the society does not happen in their paradigm, right? Because of the fact that how we existed, right? Alternatively, we also tell you that what happens in our paradigm. We tell you, when you bring out realpolitik and you tell people that realpolitik is the way, it's a better form of calling out of this mechanism, right? Because people are already engaging in it, right? We tell you, when people are engaging in it, the idea of realpolitik is normalized within the society, where you, and this kind of leads to a better form of transparency also in terms of interest you have, right? We tell you that when this transparency happens, you can call out to Modi for engaging in realpolitik, and you can call out to Obama also, right? We tell you that that is where something like this happens, that realpolitik become more visible in nature, right? And we believe that this visibility is something which is important for the debate because the kind of accountability it has in the society, right? We understand that realpolitik can sometimes go wrong, right? But we tell you, in their paradigm, realpolitik anyways exists in the time, in the way it is engaged in the society, right? We tell you, in our paradigm, the visibilization of realpolitik is something which is better off, right? Now also, we tell you that how are these ideas which are existing in the other paradigm being taken forward, right? We tell you the ideas of free speech, democracy and all, because of the way the engagement happens in society also gives people a false hope of dissent, right? What we mean by false hope of dissent is the kind of way the engagement happens in terms of telling them that you are engaging in the society, right? We tell you that under the garb of what people think that they are, these values are trampled in the society, right? We tell you these minorities are better off right now due to two factors. One, because of the fact that they can now engage and probably utilize the fuel which has been created by the large state in the society. But two, because of the fact that now they can call out and take better mechanisms, right? What we mean by taking better mechanisms is they don't engage with the state because maybe the state don't have their interest in their idea, right? We tell you that on that paradigm, to get their message through, to make sure that people have their ideas have more pervasive effect, they take more extreme values into consideration, right?
What is this end that you seek to achieve and who decides what this end is?
Right, we tell you that the kind of ends also we seek to achieve are like the kind of goals which a state tries to translate, right? We tell you that when Kashmir was after independence was taken in, Nehru also engaged in realpolitik to ensure that he goes against the political will of the Kashmiri people to get Maharaja Hari Singh to subside to India, right? We tell you that's why 370 was created, right? We tell you when these liberals engage in these, like when and since time immemorial when it has been engaged, what has happened is that there's been no constant solution which has been found for Kashmir, right? We tell you that these people have been living in a flux where there's no constant solution and there's a blame game going around the whole paradigm, right? We tell you what happens in our paradigm is that we end this debate and we end the solution, right? We tell you because of the fact that BJP was elected, because of the fact that now there is a kind of area where like people believe that Kashmir can be better off, Kashmir can be assimilated within the Indian society. We tell you that that is the more important goal for which we are ready to make this, like ready to take this idea and fetishize this idea of prioritizing these interests, right? We tell you because of these facts, this like the stagnation also which exists in terms of idea of how projection is happening and how assimilation of goals can lead to a better projection of what the state is something which stands on our side, right? We tell you cannot just reduce the idea of the state with respect to parties, right? And that is why we tell you we take this debate.
Understand why so far all three sides have spoken have become absolutely irrelevant to the debate except from us. And just understand what the realpolitik system is. They cannot come and make this debate about the right versus left and BJP good versus BJP bad. This debate is about the real politics system, which is not restricted to one party. It's an entire system of politics and an entire system of governance, right? And what is the system of governance? It gives you little, it takes away a lot from you, it forces you not to individualize, and it actively benefits from lack of political emancipation in society. When you accept Chanakya Niti and real politics, you accept mob lynching, you accept police brutality, and you cannot even coming and giving the example of Kashmir, which is an unsettled area in this debate, right? So let's understand what the case from side opening opposition has been and how it absolutely falls. They come and make blatant assertions that Chanakya Niti is very essential status quo today, but let's understand that it was written in consideration with an entirely different time, and there is no proof and no cause in being there at all. In that situation, none of the points against relevance absolutely stand. And let's understand, right? They come and tell you the enemies of the state are ones who challenge status quo. And I'm going to tie this into the rebuttal idea that also comes from closing opposition when they come and tell you that these ends are decided by the government goals. And let's understand what the fundamental problem with this is. When a government decides what their goals are, those goals will necessarily be to preserve the state, something that Chanakya Niti wants you to do, preserve the state's self-interest. These state self-interests are necessarily those of the majority at large. And what happens when you do this? Anyone who goes against the state in particular and that state's ideology is the enemy. So you have an active artificial creation of artificial enemies in state where you don't recognize the thing that's actually hindering your development, and you go and tell someone they're an enemy of the state just because they support the Pakistan cricket team, right? Let's understand that when we come and tell you that fetishization will allow you to call people out, that's a fundamentally untrue characterization, and that's what real politics is. Let's understand what it is that when they come and tell you that calling out will happen, even if that call out mechanism exists, I will not want to access it because I'm happy. This debate is not about irresponsible governance, it's about the fact that people are happy in a situation of irresponsible governance. People find no problem with it. They are absolutely blind to the problem, and if they do not recognize that there is a problem, they will not call it out, and no discourse or no debate will absolutely happen in this opposition side of the paradigm, right? So none of that case absolutely stands at the end of 3 speeches from side opposition. OG players, when they come and only give you problems that literally exist on both sides of the house and nothing exclusive. Where we expand this debate and where we extend it is to tell you that problems of Chanakya Niti cannot be limited to elections and what happens prior to elections. It must necessarily extend to the policies and the mechanisms people undertake after the election during the state governance, right? And what are these fundamental problems that none of opposition speeches have ever dealt with today. Let's understand that when state self-interest and security is absolutely emphasized, what happens is there's an active creation and emphasis on nationalism. OG comes and just tells you that the state becomes about self-right, but they never come and tell you what the consequences of this are. So let's understand what the consequences of actually actively emphasizing on nationalism are. Right? You literally tell people that their other identities are relegated to the back. You do not allow them an opportunity to express like a Muslim identity, which might be contrary to your system of governance, and you tell them if you do this, you are an enemy of the state, I will label you as a deviant, and I will absolutely ostracize you out of the country. Right? And when you emphasize on just this one identity and people want to speak up, we are not living in Chanakya's times anymore. We are living in an active democracy, and that requires room for dissent. Why is dissent absolutely curbed in this paradigm? Right? Understand, anything you say will be penalized because it is as simple as saying you are an enemy of the state, and this is important. That when they come and tell you that they will do whatever necessary to protect the state interest, it becomes very important. For opposition to literally come and defend the fact that the government can now go and flout literally rights like privacy, like bodily autonomy, and all humanitarian laws. Further explanation about all these points, right? Let's understand that country also works on softer rights like bodily autonomy, and in a situation like this, it's like an absolute backseat. Sterilization was actively implemented, and people didn't object to it because they thought, oh, this is in the best interest of my growing population, and I should actively prescribe to these values because it's in the better interest of my country, and that's what the government has constantly doctrinated to me. When it comes to like humanitarian laws, governments are just going to be like, we want terrorists to come out into the open, we want to end crime, so we will torture people for information, we will hold prisoners of war, and we will absolutely like scrutinize them. And even if they don't do this, the fact that they have an option to do it is still extremely problematic, right? And none of these problems get countered on their side. What is the biggest harm we bring to you today as closing government? Let us understand this. The moment you start saying that self-interests are okay and self-interests of the state are okay, which only pander to the majority, you literally, this all comes at a cost of the equal stakeholders of the minority taking an absolute backseat in today's world, right? Collective self-preservation only helps the majority, which is in pander to the state. Before that,
this one, tell me like, respond to the premise that like if the left or like the other side of the aisle is able to recreate this thing to win election and then effectuate the good ethics in governance that you've been talking about, why is that a bad thing?
Okay, let's understand that if a government is winning an election based on certain kinds of policies, they have no incentive to go and change into good ethics or change those policies once they come into power because they've literally won an election on the basis of those policies which are now handed to the public. So if that's your idea and that's your alternative, that people will come and now implement the change when election based on my bad policies, I will literally continue with those bad policies because that's what the people want, and Chanakya Niti ensures that the people don't realize that these policies are bad, and that's a fundamental harm that they've absolutely not understood, right? And coming back to what I was talking about, let's understand when you tell people that this like equal stakeholders like the minority are sidelined into the back. What happens is that this let's understand in today's world, especially with so much humanitarian crisis, economic crisis all across the world, and not just limited to the Indian political scenario, you need people to have empathy not just for people within your country, but also for things that are happening outside, because they actively influence how you think and the kind of people you vote into power, because you then realize what is bad and what is good because you empathize with bad conditions. What happens with Chanakya Niti? Because you never realize what is bad, because the government is actually actively telling you that anything done in a state's interest is good and necessary for you. You will now not go and empathize with people who are going through bad things. You sitting in India will not empathize with the Pakistan that the Indian army is inflicting active violence on. You will not empathize with Rohingya Muslims who are being tortured on a daily basis, right? So, just to summarize, why have taken this debate over all three sides of the house today? Opening government literally comes and gives you inexclusive, absolutely irrelevant harms. We come and extend this debate into what it's actually about, dealing with governance and why it's important for Chanakya Niti not to exist in a place where it is fetishized and actively used to discriminate against people. Why we take it over side opposition as a whole is that they just don't understand the idea that this end they want to achieve and these enemies they want to create are actively only controlled by the state, controlled by majoritarian rules, and will necessarily only pander to those. And when state decides everything that happens, any one person who goes against this larger idea of the state, any minority who wants to come out, will not be able to, and the further harm is that they will probably not think it's bad and they will just assume it's the state identity. Multiple other identities that are essential to people never coming to the forefront, and literally what we've brought to you today is that major people in the minority take a backseat. You're literally allowing flouting of humanitarian laws, empathy is lost, subaltern identities are not preserved, and with all of that, I think it's fairly clear the decision in front of you is simple. Go to closing government. Last thing.
Guys, once more be quiet. Last speech.
Madam Speaker, despotism is different from realpolitik, right? We're trying to create the idea that we're not celebrating the idea of realpolitik. We're really saying if you regret this, you're going to create a narrative where you can maybe sometimes morally take some measures which are flexible in order to take measures which are necessary for the preservation of the state as a permanent concept. And this is where we differentiate ourselves largely from moving opposition for the simple reason that they don't tell you what is this permanent interest that we're talking about in the first place. And they keep telling you about elections, which are like short-term measures, which don't really engage with the idea of what is the idea of state that we're trying to preserve. All these people keep talking about, oh, assimilation is bad. They keep talking about the idea that, oh, nothing, or like all enemies are created. There is no threat, there is no problem to the state that exists in the first place. And tell you that these ideas are not fabricated, right? States face problems every day, and like just because someone maybe like a certain election does not necessarily mean that they don't, that there is no absolute, that there is no threat to these individuals in the first place at any point of time. Right? Let's first take out pros and government from this debate, then we take out the other sides, and then we'll say why we're the best side or one side opposition as well. They said keep saying minorities get far, governance needs to be better. We tell you, we don't understand if you as a concept, your state interest, which means a permanent interest of security, which means that your idea of the state sovereignty itself is at jeopardy, right? The idea of state sovereignty is that if the USSR disintegrated, it has gone back 100 years in terms of the development that it made, in terms of the economic development that it had in the 60s and 70s before the Cold War, right? He said that the threats that the USSR faced during the Cold War were enough to dismantle it to the point that Russia is one of the most corrupt countries that exist in the world today as we speak. We tell you that realpolitik was exercised by United America to gain enough soft power for them to preserve their long-term interests and take the moral fucking high ground when they just made their constitutional ideals extremely convenient for them to like sound like that they are the Western, like they're the bulwarks of like modernity and how society should function. We tell you that you get to create this narrative only if you use realpolitik as a tool to come out on top and take these people out in the first place. I will tell you that assimilation will happen. Yes, Kashmiri people will lose their
your identity, but as a consequence you also get to preserve the territory that exists. Why is the territory important? Why are these permanent interests? I'm sure the BJP is not stupid enough to just be like, oh, we'll give this territory because it's convenient for us, or to like, I don't know, do something like this. We tell you that the BJP was ready to face the backlash of something like this and take like constitutionally fraudulent measures in order to remove 370. Simply because it understood that if India loses Kashmir, it gets up from 4 or 5 sides, and countries like Pakistan, China, which actually pose a threat to India in different parts of the world, is something that's true, right? We tell you that the idea that Pakistan poses no threat to India is something that's ridiculous, considering they've literally had multiple wars with us, where they were the ones who more or less initiated in the first place. We tell you that these ideas of there being no enemy, there being no threat to sovereignty is problematic. Why is China trying to preserve Hong Kong? Hong Kong is an asset for the people of China itself, and by those businesses that are created in Hong Kong, the measures you can take in Hong Kong are different from the rest of the country. The geographical location of Hong Kong is extremely important. If you just let go of Hong Kong and you expect China to be like, okay, in 2047 we let go of, we will take Hong Kong into us very conveniently, and you won't like, we will also like grant you like autonomy rights. We tell you that the problem with this is that you need the assimilation to take place so that companies like Alibaba, for example, can go and set up their enterprises in Hong Kong because of their benefits that exist. And that's literally a measure that Alibaba is thinking of taking, because they believe that being in a certain part of China is not giving them the same benefits that being in Hong Kong can give them. We tell you that these interests are not tangible right now for the simple reason that these are interests for the idea of state, which is a much more permanent concept than just the idea of like a government that exists for 5 years. And we tell you that like these measures of ethnic cleansing, sterilization are random measures taken by despots like Indira Gandhi, which had no end, right? We tell you that people like Indira Gandhi took these measures because they just felt convenient to be like, oh, this, and the end that Indira Gandhi sought to achieve is unclear, right? There was no end that was achieved. She just wanted individual power. We tell you realpolitik is different in the sense that it's literally Narendra Modi taking measures which are for the state as a concept, right? We tell you the sovereignty of the state is extremely important. They can't just keep fucking telling me that, oh, it doesn't matter, just give it to Kashmir, just give autonomy to every territory in the country and don't like assimilate individually. Why we take it over opening government is also extremely important, right? Firstly, they tell you, oh, gay people are also being like dissented against, and there's something that's very wrong with that. We tell you that the backlash against gay people is not in terms of, oh, there are threats to the sovereignty of our country or something of that sort. It's a different identity crisis which has nothing to do with the politics of the country that takes place. We tell you that these minorities that they are talking about need to be more political in nature in terms of what they contribute to as threats to the country, right? Why do they create, and they're like, oh, they create false narratives and they solve these problems, and like and they act as if like they're the best political party in the first place. We tell you that you need to give false reassurance to people at certain points of time. You need to give them the illusion of safety even if it's not actual safety, because if you keep telling the people that you're gonna get fucked from every side of the world because there's everyone threatening you or something of that sort, we tell you that it's extremely important to give the false illusion of safety, that there is someone who's a watchtower of the country. That's something very important, right? Tell you, oh, there's a huge problem with investing in warfare, not explaining why warfare is bad itself. We don't understand why, if China as a country can develop many-fold by oppressing minorities, we don't see a problem with why China can exist as a country like far ahead in comparison to a country like India, which acts to be inclusive but is really not, right? We tell you that all of these ideals, fake ideals of democracy, also give I'm not taking the this term. The ideals of a democracy are something which are fake in the first place, right? We tell you that freedom of speech and expression is fine to the point it's inconvenient to the state structure, right? Chanakya was fine until he became an opponent of the state structure that existed in the first place. We tell you the idea of sedition and all these laws are they're not just tokenistic measures to do something like this. There are chilling effects of these measures that these people take. We tell you that these chilling effects are created simply because the government does not want to grant you something like this. We tell you that when you allow for realpolitik and these leaders to be unapologetic about the fact that they're indulging in realpolitik, that leads to a better calling out mechanism. When people like Barack Obama actively hide the fact that they have been supporting the NSA, and in comparison to Narendra Modi, who openly advocate 370, the difference is that people can now call out Narendra Modi if he does something wrong, right? And they understand that realpolitik can go completely wrong in terms of the decision that you take. You might fuck up some minorities perpetually forever, but however we tell you that the decision has to be taken, and it's not a life decision that will be taken lightly in the first place, because these are decisions for the permanent future of that particular country. We should not regret this narrative, because if you do allow the fetishization of realpolitik, you will allow Barack Obama to be more unapologetic about NSA. The international backlash and the internal backlash that he faces as a consequence of visibilizing that problem because of the measure he's taken himself. Very proud to take this.